My wife returned from a work retreat with a hickey. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at loss. How do I move forward? I'm 27M, in a fight with my wife, 28F. We've had fights before but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4F. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles, so I stood behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife's making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods. We keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I'd even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair, and this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she'd rain-check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, 23M, was almost in every pic video attached to her hip. In one pic he had his arm too comfortably around her imo. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I don't like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought it was a full-on hickey. She kinda brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present, but when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity, so we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with a hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite. But I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Comments. Commenter 1. I have been to Vegas and never saw a single bug. It is like dry as fuck, desert-like. Not saying they aren't there, but it's not like she was in the Mayan Riviera. This is all super sus. Don't let her gaslight you. She clearly got a hickey, which is dumb as fuck in itself, probably from the idiot who is too inexperienced to know what he was doing, and preemptively came up with an excuse knowing what it would look like. Out of character behavior. Neglecting her daughter. New young guy hanging off her, that is in photos she knew you could end up seeing, what about what you couldn't see? Eyebrow raising texts. Commenter 2. I used to travel regularly to Vegas several times a year for about 8 years, worked for the gambling industry. I have never seen a bug anywhere in the vicinity of Las Vegas. What I did see though was a lot of drunks and infidelity. I'm not saying she cheated. But he's right to be suspicious. Commenter 3. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never gotten a bug bite that looked like a hickey. Did she show you her phone or provide any proof that could support her innocence or just dismiss you? The extra affection is a common move from guilt-ridden cheaters. Even if we stretch the imagination and believe it is a big bite, she wasn't acting trustworthy, or was she a good mother while they was in Vegas and she needs to address and correct that? Reply, no, I haven't had access to her phone. We usually have an open phone policy, but it's not something we've ever really done. I'm sure it'll be another argument. Yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday and when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it, or hang up on them while they're crying. I'm not insecure. My wife's gone on the retreats before. We both work outside the home and have the caring for our daughter. So it's not an imbalance. My wife's work-life balance is out of sorts. She's in the company of other adults plenty. I've been with my wife on these retreats and other social events. I know how she is. She was off this entire trip, nor was it appreciated her entertaining a coworker, who ignores boundaries, having his arm wrapped around her waist like he was claiming her or something. I trusted her when she said she had a bug bite. I got things to help her treat it for when returned. It was only after I saw the bruise in person that there was no mistaking it was a hickey for me, and I questioned her on it. Update. I, 27M, wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife, 28F, and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter, 4F, and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up. But I did note the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed she hooked up with that coworker, 23M, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some on top of the clothes stuff, and then he went down on her. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about that guy she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57M. A cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity he put her mom, 55F, through. She said her family never talked about anything openly and how when she was growing up, my MIL never addressed anything with her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we still could talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she failed as a wife and mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife's staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My MIL called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my MIL was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed. But I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. It's much appreciated. TLDR Update 4, my wife returned from a work retreat in Vegas with a hickey on her neck. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the retreat. We're stuck between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. I'm at a loss. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Comments. Commenter 1. Do you think she is still trickle-troughing you? How would the coworker know your nickname for her? Good luck onwards. OP. Also think about this part of your comment whenever your wife tells you she is sorry. Cheating on you is one thing, but your wife's behavior towards her daughter is sickening. Yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday and when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it or hang up on them while they're crying. I was just on a work trip with a coworker who has a couple of little kids similar in age to OP's. He had arranged his travel times to make it easier on them and went back to the hotel to call them every night. Nothing about how the wife is acting is normal or okay. Commenter 2. They didn't stop until he came inside your wife. You know that, right? Commenter 3. She had plenty of time to craft a story where she was less offensive. He went down on her only. Okay. Commenter 4. Yeah, that's a convenient story. It's bad but offers a glimpse of, oh, it's not so bad she didn't really do anything to him. That's just not believable to me. Also, the MIL is not your friend here, OP, she's trying to help her child. Again, don't settle for this treatment. Stories number 2. Aita for refusing to let my brother's fiancé wear my late mother's wedding dress. I, 30F, lost my mom 5 years ago. Before she passed, she gave me her wedding dress. She told me she wanted me to have it, whether I chose to wear it at my own wedding, repurpose it, or just keep it as a memory of her. It's one of the most sentimental things I own. My older brother, Jake, 33M, is getting married in a few months to his fiancée, Laura, 29F. We have a good relationship, but we're not super close. Last week, Laura asked if we could meet up for coffee, and that's when she dropped a bombshell. She told me she had always dreamed of wearing a meaningful dress when she got married and thought it would be so special if she could wear my mom's wedding dress. She said it would be a beautiful way to honor my mom at the wedding. I was completely caught off guard. I told her that while I appreciated her sentiment, my mom gave the dress to me, and it was very personal. I wasn't comfortable letting someone else wear it, especially because I still might want to use it in some way for my own wedding one day. Laura immediately got upset and said I was being selfish. She told me it wasn't fair because she never got to meet my mom, and this would be a way for her to feel connected to her. She also said my mom would have wanted her to wear it since she's joining the family. I stood my ground and told her no. I suggested she find another way to incorporate my mom's memory, maybe by wearing a piece of my mom's jewelry or a pair of her shoes, but Laura said that wasn't the same. Now my brother is involved, and he told me I should reconsider because it would mean a lot to Laura. He said I was being unnecessarily difficult over just a dress. Even some of my relatives are saying I should think about the bigger picture and how this would be a touching tribute. I feel guilty, but at the same time, this dress means the world to me. So, Reddit, Aita for refusing to let her wear it. Stories number 3. My husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone and refuses to explain why. My husband is 43 and I'm 31. We've been married for 7 years and have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. My husband left our children alone and he refuses to admit to it or tell me where he was. I'm furious, enraged, and my husband keeps telling me I'm making a big deal about nothing. This just happened this weekend. I am on the board of directors for a local nonprofit organization. I had to attend an event for that organization this past Saturday, and I was gone for most of the day. My husband was supposed to be home with our kids. I texted him a few times and he responded. When I called around midday he didn't respond, but that's not very unusual. Shortly after that, I got a call from my mom. She said my son had just called her and when she asked him what he and his sister were doing, he said they were both watching TV. When she asked where their dad was, he said his dad wasn't there. My mom asked him several other questions and from my son's responses she believed he was telling the truth and that my husband wasn't there and that there was no adult there at all. She said he didn't seem scared to be alone or worries about where his dad was at. He just called her to chat. He has a tablet designed for children, with pre-programmed contacts that he can call. It's only a few people, just family members. I left the event immediately and began texting and calling my husband repeatedly. He didn't respond to my first several attempts. It took him about 10 minutes, I was halfway home at that point, to respond. I was so confused, so worried, really mad, and I asked him where he was. He said he was at home. I told him our son had just told his grandmother that he was home alone with his baby sister watching TV about 15 minutes ago. My husband denied it and I told him I was too upset to talk and drive. When I got home, I checked on the kids right away and they were both fine. I asked my husband again, where was he? He said he was home the entire time. He doesn't know what our son was talking about but he must have just been confused since he had gone to the basement to do some laundry. I ran down to the basement, it was the same load of laundry I'd thrown in the dryer the night before. He didn't do any laundry when I was gone. I asked my husband why my son would be confused about whether his dad was home or not. Where in our home would he have gone and for how long for our son to think his dad wasn't home? That doesn't make sense with a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You wouldn't leave them unattended that long. Why was he nowhere to be found and my mom asked my son to go check certain areas of the house. I begged my husband to just admit it, to stop treating me like an idiot and to stop accusing our son of lying. Just tell me the truth, because being lied to right to my face is so incredibly maddening. He insists he was home, but he can't come up with any believable story of where he was at or what he was doing during that time. The way he answers me when I ask him about this and demand truthful answers is so dismissive. When I tell him you left our children alone, he quickly says, no, I didn't, so anyway. He says I'm overreacting and letting our son's imagination drive me crazy. I am convinced he was gone. We don't have a Ring camera, but at least one of our neighbors does. I'm so upset about this that I'm tempted to ask our neighbor for the Ring footage. I had to go out to my car and scream and cry because I got so upset. Of course, I didn't want my kids to see my reaction. I can't put into words how upset I am about the fact that I know he must have really left them alone but have no proof and am being treated like I'm just a paranoid nutcase of a mother woman by him. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, it's either drugs or an affair. Also, the fact that your 5-year-old was calm and nonchalant about the situation makes me believe that he does this frequently enough that the kids are used to it. Reply, my mom said she and my son chatted for at least 5 minutes before she asked him where his dad was, and when she asked that she still didn't think anything was wrong. She was just trying to make conversation. He gave no indication that anything was wrong and when she started asking him more questions regarding his dad's whereabouts he didn't seem fazed. Commenter 2, I agree that it's either drugs or an affair if he's truly leaving them alone. To ease your mind, get the footage from your neighbor but do not tell him. Furthermore, given your son's nonchalance about being left alone, this may not be the first time your husband has done this. Ask your son. Aside from the fact that this is highly dangerous, there are legal ramifications that the both of you can face should the authorities be alerted that the children are being left home alone. You should also get nanny cams. These are discrete cameras unlike a Ring camera. Place them in strategic locations throughout your home. Reply, he definitely won't be left alone with them anymore, unless it's a test where I am secretly watching the entire time. Does OOP's husband have any accounts that she wasn't aware of? Such as bank, etc. Reply, he has a separate bank account that I don't have access to. It's not a secret account. I know it exists. I don't have debit card for it, I'm not named on the account, and I don't have his login details. I have no clue what's in it. We have a joint account too, he has his own credit cards. I don't know what's on those either. Commenter 3, I feel like the timeline is weird. How did your husband get home in the 10 minutes since he answered your phone call and you got there? Doesn't mean I think he's telling you the truth, and I think you should get the ring footage to put either claim to rest. Is your husband friends with any neighbors? Reply, if he was within 10 minutes from our house. Well, he speeds on a good day, so if he was in his car and within 20 minutes of our house he technically could have got home in time. I've wondered if he actually got my initial panicked calls and texts, didn't answer, started racing home, and then finally picked up once he was home so he could pretend he was there all along. Additional information from OOP on her conversation with her 5-year-old son regarding her husband his father. Reply, I talked to him after I calmed down a little bit. His story was virtually the same as what he told my mom, with a few more details, but nothing that gave me any clue about what my husband was up to. I asked him what he did when I was gone. He said Daddy made him pancakes and they drank coffee outside. My 5-year-old doesn't actually drink coffee, but he pretends to drink it in the morning and he likes to sit outside with his hot coffee. His sister had a giant poop explosion and of course he remembered that, and apparently Dad was there to clean that up because he said she pooped everywhere and he had to help Dad give her a bath and it was disgusting. Curious that my husband supposedly did laundry but left the poop-covered onesie unwashed. That was the highlight of his day and he loved telling me about how gross it was. I asked him if Daddy left. He said yeah, Daddy left, like it was no big deal. I asked him what he did when Daddy was gone. He said he watched TV. I asked him what he watched. I asked him what his sister, 9-month-old baby, was doing when Daddy was gone and he said she was in the living room watching TV with him too. I asked him if he was sure Daddy was gone. He said yeah, Daddy wasn't home. I asked him how he knew and he said Daddy's keys were gone and Daddy told him to stay in the living room with his sister. He has no real concept of time, so asking him how long Daddy was gone for wouldn't really mean anything. I didn't want him to feel like he was in trouble or like I was grilling him, and it sort of seemed like that's how he started to feel when I kept asking questions. Update. Last weekend my husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone while I was gone and then refused to admit it or provide a plausible explanation. Since then, we had many arguments about it. I've been living in a constant state of anger and frustration. I didn't want to fight about it anymore, but I couldn't help it and I kept bringing it up again and again. I couldn't lay low and pretend to get over it while I waited for him to do it again and catch him in whatever was going on. I also knew that demanding he tell me the truth wasn't going to get me anywhere. Since he'd been refusing to talk and deflecting for days. All it was doing was making me enraged and feel like I was about to have a brain aneurysm. I told him to hand me his phone so I could check his location at the time. He refused. He said he wouldn't do it and that it was a violation of his privacy, he won't be treated that way, and refuses to give in to my delusions. You think I enjoy being in a situation where I have to beg my husband to show me his phone so I can see where he was at? I hate it. I don't want to live that way. I told him it's simple, if he was really at home the entire time, just prove it. Why wouldn't he want to clear this whole thing up? I got so mad that he wouldn't turn over his phone that I told him I was going to the neighbors to get their doorbell footage. At first he was like, fine, go do it. He didn't think I actually would. He knows I don't like to air drama to others so he probably figured I'd just swallow all of this crap he's been giving me. Luckily, I was totally being driven by anger at this point, so nothing was going to stop me from going to the neighbors. When I actually started to go out the door he tried to stop me and followed me out the door. I felt pure anger rushing through my veins, nothing else. The neighbor, who I've probably said less than 10 words to in the entire time we've lived here, told me he'd send me the footage. I went home, told my husband that the neighbor didn't have the footage from that day anymore, and told him I just needed to go to the store and cool off. So I put the kids in the car and went and parked somewhere while I waited for the neighbor to send me the footage. I have the neighbor's number now too, and he told me if I need any more footage he will be happy to give it to me. The video shows a blue car that I don't recognize show up and park in our driveway. A blonde woman gets out of the car and goes towards my house. She walks on the outside of our garage toward the gate leading to our backyard. The gate is too far back and out of the way to be seen on the doorbell footage. She and her car was there for 23 minutes. Imagine that, the car leaves right around the time that my husband called me to say he was home and had been home the entire time, as I was rushing home in a panic and calling him on repeat. One of two possibilities as to where they went. She either came in through the side door of the house, which does provide direct access to the basement. Or, and what I think is more likely, is that they were in the backmost area of our yard, which is a gated pool area. Immediately behind our house is a grass lawn, then you step down a few steps and we have a patio, and then there is a fully gated area where the pool is. It's not like you think of when you picture a gated pool. It's a full, 6-foot wood fence all the way around, plus even taller landscaping for added privacy. You can't see into the area at all unless you're inside. I think it's more likely that they were back there because my son said his dad's keys were gone and we keep that gate locked with a key. The pool is closed for winter, but there is one small building back there, sort of like a shed we converted into a changing area, and there is a covered patio with furniture. I'm convinced that's where they were. So technically he was home, but in an area totally removed from the house and where he couldn't see or hear the kids if something happened. I asked him how he could explain this. What were they doing? I obviously don't need him to tell me what they were doing, but for some reason I still had hope that he'd finally be honest. He wasn't contrite. He showed no remorse. He was just like, yeah, she was here, but I obviously never left. Who is she? How long has this been going on? And if he's going to be such a disgusting, despicable excuse of a man, then why couldn't he at least have found any other time and any other lie or excuse other than when he was home alone with our kids? I told him I know this has happened before and I demanded to know how many times he's done this when he's been home alone with the kids. He swears this is the only time, but he still doesn't have the balls to confess to what they were doing. I don't believe him that this was the only time, FYI. I still have so many questions and I still feel like my heart is beating 200 times a minute. My blood pressure is through the roof. I've cried a lot, sobbed, begged for somebody to help me, yelled, screamed, ordered a bunch of books about divorce and custody. And you know what? The next day after our multiple explosive fights, him putting his hands on me, and me seeing the evidence, he acted like everything was totally normal and like none of that stuff ever happened. I woke up still seething, exhausted, broken, and he's acting like everything is totally normal. He said he was ordering breakfast to be delivered from our favorite breakfast place. He asked if I wanted to go to the store together later and try this new recipe for chili tonight. What? Why would Kay want to do any of these things with you now? Absolutely no acknowledgement of anything he's done or what's transpired between us in the past few days. He deserved an Oscar for how well he was able to act like none of that happened, completely comfortable and non-fazed. I know that it's a waste of my energy, but I just desperately want him to admit the full truth of what he did that day and any other day with this woman. I want to hear it from him. It won't change whatever he's done, but he could at least have the respect and decency to be honest now that he's been caught. That's a ridiculous thought though, right? How foolish of me to expect this man to show decency and honesty now. If he was a decent and honest man, then he wouldn't have had a strange woman over to our house and been out of sight from our kids for 23 minutes. His continued denial and refusal to admit to anything other than the bare minimum, his attitude like I'm somehow being controlling or infringing on his rights by asking for information, that's almost more hurtful than him cheating on me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, so he f***ed a blonde in the back while leaving the kids unsupervised. Sorry, but that is the only explanation. He wasn't planning a surprise for you. He wouldn't shit on the kids' safety for that. He left the kids alone for something selfish. And he was brazen and comfortable enough to bring his side piece to your house. At this point every word out of his mouth has been a lie. You should ask the neighbor if he's seen that care before. Reply, I know they were fucking. I'm not trying to delude myself into thinking she came over to talk or for a cup of tea. I just want him to admit it. It's driving me crazy that he won't admit to it even though he's been caught. Commenter 2, OP, he has not been honest and won't be honest. Even if he is, what would that give you? Could you even believe it? OP, you know what he was doing. You don't need him to spell it out for you. Put yourself and your children first. Reply, at the end of the day, him admitting to what he's done wouldn't really change anything. It certainly won't change anything he's done. It won't make it better. And I probably still wouldn't believe I was getting the full truth. Yet, I can't stop seething over the fact that he's refusing to give me any info. Commenter 3, weird thing is, if he showed his location, it would have been at home and probably put you more at ease that he didn't leave. He is garbage especially to be doing that shit when he has the kids, leaving them on their own. He'd rather cheat and possibly his kids getting hurt or dying. Disgusting. Reply, yes. It doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't he have just given me his phone? It makes me think that there are other things on his phone besides his location that he doesn't want me to see. Commenter 4, I'm really concerned for your mental health. I read the original post too. Maybe I watch too many psychological thrillers, but this comes across like he's a psycho intent on making you looking unhinged so he can admit you to a psych ward, or at least, divorce you, get out of alimony and child support and keep the house and kids. I'd pack the kids up if I were you, go to your parents for a bit, and cool off. Call a lawyer stat. Start the divorce and keep that recording. Reply, I'm concerned for my mental health right now too. Stories number 4. I'm worried about my husband and I don't know what's happening. We are going through a really tough time right now and he's been really depressed. Well, he was until 3 days ago when all of a sudden he's all calm happy. Like a switch flipped and he's absurdly calm, as if he wasn't sad before. It sent my alarm bells ringing but I chalked it up to him just trying to get over his emotions. We live 15 minutes from a big university where both of our children, 21 and 19, attend. They came home randomly yesterday and I was caught off guard. They said their father requested them to come over because he wanted to give them something. He proceeded to give them 2 boxes full of their childhood memories, teddy bears, photo albums, old toys, etc. It was so odd because they are in college and one lives in a dorm and the other lives in a college apartment with friends. It would make more sense for that stuff to stay here at the house. But he seemed so insistent on giving them these relics from the past and seemed overly happy to do so. Today he stayed home from work. I work part-time and didn't have work today. He's been cleaning all day. He's always helped clean up but today he's doing a deep clean which is something he usually dreads doing. I'm worried. I don't know what this mood switch is and I don't even know what to search on Google. It seems like normal stuff but I know him and this is definitely not normal, especially the suddenness. Does anyone know what could be happening? Has this happened to anybody else? Comments. Commenter 1. I don't want to alarm you. Please read this. Resources. Editor's note, PDF link here. Commenter 2. I agree this was my thought while reading this. OP needs to sit him down soon. Commenter 3. Not soon, now. This is an emergency. Commenter 4. Very soon. My heart is racing right now. Update. I want to thank everyone who commented. I only had 45 comments when I decided to talk to my husband and hadn't been on Reddit since, so coming on and seeing 300 plus comments is overwhelming. After reading those comments and seeing suicide mentioned so much, I got a knot in my stomach and researched behaviors of someone ready to commit, and sure enough it matched his. I got so mad at myself for being so ignorant to behaviors of mental health crises. I went to talk to him and told him I love him so much and that if he was planning to do something to himself that he didn't have to and that I'd help him with anything. I said much more in a more loving way. He then broke down crying. Guys, I've only seen this man cry once, and that was his father's funeral, and even that was just a few tears. This was more of cry. Full on breakdown. I held him and we both cried. He told me that he was broken and didn't feel like he could go on and that we'd be better off without him. I vehemently told him that he was absolutely wrong and that we'd be destroyed without him. We talked for hours and I asked for his permission to call his sister, who is the only person outside of our immediate family that he trusts fully. She came over and we all talked for a while. His sister and I convinced him to let us take him to the ER. Thank you guys for this advice. After the medical and mental evaluation, they concluded he was high risk and they kept him. That opened my eyes to how bad it was. That's pretty much it. They still have him and I'm at home. His sister offered to stay with me, but I told her to go home. She has her own family and I don't want to keep her from them. I don't know what to tell our kids or even I should tell them. I'm lost and worried and just want to help my husband. Comments. Commenter 1. You are an absolutely amazing human and wife. Do not assume you should have known. Most of us never even think of suicide as a real thing until it's presented like this. You did the most absolutely right thing by noticing signs and reaching to us. I'm so freaking proud of you. I know it's a lot to carry. You will go through waves of emotion. Please consider popping into a counselor just to talk it out. You will want to be strong for him, but you are human too and this is heavy. Commenter 2. Very well written. I second this about a counselor or therapist. Although we have to be strong for them sometimes it is hard to carry and there is nothing wrong with reaching out for any type of crutch during hard times. Commenter 3. This post makes my day. I am so happy you got him help. You were able to do the thing that I wish I or someone else had been able to do for my friend. As for you children, you have to keep it age appropriate. With my 10 years old I tell them my friend was sick and he died and I miss him. With my wife, she knows the whole story. Truth is good for any relationship. Secrets kill. If your kids are older tell them their dad is struggling with his mental health and you're getting him help. Reply, our kids are on college so I can be more blunt about it. I'm more worried about if my husband wants them to know, you know. I wouldn't want to divulge this info to them if he didn't want to. Maybe I'm overthinking. My mind is all over the place currently. Commenter 4. I would not. He's trusted you, don't abuse that trust right now. It's delicate. He gave you permission for his sister. Let the dust settle right now. Talk to a counselor. Tell them together if needed later. But this is a delicate time right now with your husband and his trust in the world. Reply, this is how I'm leaning. This is such a vulnerable time for him. I don't want to let them know until I know he's okay with it. Stories number 5. My parents took me 28M to an arranged marriage meeting. With a woman 28F. So yeah, as the title says, I, a gay Indian man, M28 was recently taken to meet a potential bride and her family. I'm out to myself and some close friends, but definitely not to my parents. They've been on my case about getting married, and despite my constant dodging, they finally set up a meeting without really asking me. I knew resisting too hard would just raise suspicion, so I went along with it, hoping to find a way out later. The whole experience was surreal. The girl was actually really sweet. I think she sensed my discomfort because she kept the conversation light and even joked about how weird the whole arranged marriage process is. I couldn't help but wonder if she was also being pressured into this. Meanwhile, our parents were busy discussing horoscopes, family backgrounds, and future plans, completely oblivious to the fact that I had zero interest in this marriage, or any marriage with a woman for that matter. The fear of what happens if I finally come out and disappoint my family. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How do you navigate this without causing a complete fallout? Stories number 6. I, 38F, think my marriage to my husband, 42M, is over. I need help. My husband and I have been together for 16 years. We have 2 kids. It's mostly been a good relationship, with normal ebbs and flows. The past year has been pretty difficult on my end and I think I've reached my breaking point. I just want to make it clear before I start that my husband is a good man, and I do love him. I've been a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. It was out of necessity rather than desire on my part. My husband was working at building his business and we needed the flexibility of me being home. I had a job I loved, but I didn't make much and it just made sense at the time. I also homeschool our children because it works well for us. I did all the normal stay-at-home mom stuff, dinner, cleaning, laundry, bills, etc. He did help when needed and was never resentful of it. He worked very long hours, and lots of weekends, but I supported him because owning his own business was his dream. About 3 years ago, I started to feel some fatigue from being the primary caregiver of our children. I wanted more and our business was pretty stable, so we agreed that I'd go back to school. Our children are old enough now that schooling them is less hands-on, so again, it made sense. I graduated with my 2-year degree last year and started nursing school shortly thereafter. This is when things started to get rough. Nursing school is a total time suck, it requires so much time and so much energy. We discussed the shifting of responsibility and how difficult this was going to be on all of us, and he said he was supportive. He started making snide comments about things he was doing at home, things I had always taken care of, things that I guess he just didn't realize I did. I tried to communicate with him, see what could be done to make things easier on him for this transition. He is not a good communicator though, so I didn't push, a mistake on my part. The comments started getting more frequent, and meaner. We've never been mean to each other. It's just not how we fight. Or rather, hasn't been how we fight. He started getting resentful of the time I was up at school, or volunteering. I do volunteer quite a bit. Summer came and I thought things would get better. I got a job where I work a few days a week from 7 to 7. I love my job so much and it's really nice to finally be able to contribute to our income. It's really empowering. Over the past few months, I've become a lot more independent. Historically I've needed my husband a lot. I had some really serious depression after our kids and I couldn't do much without him, like, go to the doctor or grocery shop or whatever. Over the past 5 years I've gotten that under control. Through nursing school, I've made a lot new friends that I like to spend time with. We grab quick dinners, and sometimes head to the movies. This apparently bothers my husband, though he's never actually verbalized it. I started to come home from an activity, volunteering or a night out with friends, to rage on his part. He would yell at me, call me names, and say horribly hurtful things. He went through and read my text messages, trying to find something I'm doing wrong. My friend group is mixed female and male, and most are younger than I am. When I come home, I never know how he'll react. Last night was pretty bad. He stopped replying to my random, I love you, texts, and this morning didn't bother to say it back. He's hanging up on me, he's ignoring me, he's treating me really badly. He twists my words and ascribes them emotions that I'm just not feeling. I feel like I'm dying inside. Any self-esteem I've gained from following my dreams, he's crushing. While I don't think he's abusive, I feel a lot like I did when I was in an abusive relationship. Walking on eggshells, trying to test the room when I walk in. Afraid to do anything that might upset him, being overly nice so that he'll be nice back. To be clear, I'm home most nights. I might go out with friends once a week or twice, but once is during the day. Like this week, Sunday I went to dinner with a friend that was leaving for New York the next day. I was gone 2 hours. Monday I was home. Tuesday I was working all day, then went up to the school for midnight registration. Wednesday is my weekly volunteer day and whoever is volunteering goes out for food after for about an hour. Today I'm working a short shift. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday I'm home. I'm just done. I'm so tired of feeling badly about myself. Like I'm doing something wrong. I've tried to talk about all of this 1,000 times. I never fight back when he's yelling at me or calling me names. I've suggested counseling, I'm going to therapy myself, but he's not interested. The problem is, I don't want my marriage to be over. I love him and I've promised him forever. I don't break my promises. I just want things to go back to where they were a year ago. I need help. Thanks in advance. TLDR, my husband is resentful of positive changes that I've made in my life over the past year, which has led to him treating me terribly. I don't think I can do it anymore, but I don't want my marriage to be over. I don't know what to do. Sum of comments. Thanks for your reply. He does tell me that my independence bothers him, he feels like I don't need him anymore, or that I'll be okay without him, which I would, as he would without me. But he won't do anything to resolve these feelings, or communicate what I can do to reassure him that I do still need him. It's one of those, I don't need you to save me, I need you to stand by me while I save myself, type of things, and he's just not okay with that. When OP was asked about her schedule, fair enough, Sunday through Wednesday, I was home one night, but Wednesday through Sunday I'll be home 3 of the 5. He definitely has every right to resent the changes that I've made in our lifestyle and in myself. I just wish he'd help me figure out how we can both be happy. It's his unwillingness to do so that's really killing things, I think. I've tried so hard over the past 6 months to fix things. I plan dates and he cancels saying he has to work. I invite him out every time I go somewhere with my friends. Our kids are at an age where they can be left alone for a few hours, so it's not even like we need a sitter. I take the kids with me about half the time I go out with friends, so he can have some downtime. I'm home every weekend, no exceptions, most of the time he chooses to work. And it is a choice, we don't need the money. He has the freedom to go out with his friends, he just doesn't. Update post. While my original post didn't get a ton of feedback, I thought I'd update. About a month after I posted, I asked him for a separation. He agreed. I moved out and I've got my own place now. I thought maybe moving out would be the wake-up call that was needed to save the marriage, but it wasn't. However, it turned out to be the best thing for all of us. We share custody of our children, and they transitioned to public school and are doing very, very well. I'm doing pretty well, too. It's been hard, and there have been a lot of ups and downs, but it's been worth it. We're all so much happier now, and my ex and I are working really well together to co-parent our kids and we're even friends. We'll always be there for each other, but we're better off apart. Not the happy ending that I was hoping for, but a happy ending nonetheless. TLDR, we split up, things are good now. Sum of comments. Thank you, thank you. My kids were one of the biggest considerations in deciding to leave. I want them to be strong and be good advocates for themselves, and I figured the best way to do that was to model it myself. I hope I did what was best for them, it's a big fear of mine. It took a few months after I moved out for him to stop being horrible. I think he realized that he was happier without me honestly. Seeing me every day and feeling so much anger and resentment is, I think, what made everything so much worse. I never acted like I was single. I wasn't going out clubbing or dancing. I'd go see a movie, and I'd always invite him. I shipped the kids off to my parents multiple times to have a weekend alone with him and he'd work instead. I'd ask him for dates and try my best to make him understand how important our marriage was to me. I begged him, literally, to see a therapist. Update post. My ex and I split last year, we're on good terms and share custody of our kids. We're actually friends, too, which is nice. I'm in a school program and I graduate in December. Post-graduation, I'll be able to work pretty much anywhere. I hate the state that I live in. I'm miserable here, the weather, the culture, the politics. It's just not home to me, and never has been. Previously I had resigned myself to living here forever, because my ex will be here forever. Now that I'm single again, I've been exploring the idea of moving. Namely to the East Coast. I've always wanted to go there and I feel like this is my chance. I have a trip planned in September to get a feel for the area and where I might want to live. I might put some applications in. The asshole part comes in because we have kids. I'd never force them to come with me, and they are old enough to make their own choices about where they want to live. But will I be an asshole putting them in the situation? Having them make a choice. I can't imagine being stuck here for another 6 years, until my youngest graduates, but I don't want to fuck up my kids' lives. Edit for a little more info, I'm going into the medical field, nursing, and the East Coast offers some of the best hospitals in the world. That's a huge factor in why I want to move there. I'll make at least twice what I'd make here, and have lots of opportunities in my career. Edit X2, I'm in Texas, not on the West Coast. Across the country was a bit melodramatic on my part. Some of comments. My kids are 12 and 14. I don't want them to feel like they have to choose between my ex and I, which is where a lot of my hesitation lies. But it's not like I'd never see them. Ideally, if they stayed here, I'd get them spring break and summers. I'd come back for Christmas at the very least. I'll be working 3 days a week, which makes it easy for quick trips back here for a few nights once a month or so. That said, I've still not made my decision, and won't until I at least visit and then talk to my ex and get his thoughts. I appreciate your input. OOP in response to a commenter suggesting OOP should wait 6 years to move until after her youngest graduates high school. I think part of the reason I'm so anxious to go is that I'm 39. I'm going to be a nurse. There are lots of career goals I have that I'll have a lot more opportunity to meet at some of the big hospitals on the East Coast. It would be amazing for my future. Like Mass Gen, Mayo and the like. I'm not trying to justify my post, just talk some of this out. Update. It's kinda insane to see one of your posts up here. I guess I should update. A lot has obviously happened in the 6 years that have passed. I didn't end up moving for those commenting on that. I stayed in Texas because I couldn't leave my kids. I'm glad I stayed. My youngest graduates high school this year and I've been here for it all. My ex and I are on great terms. He's one of my best friends. He's not a bad person, he just doesn't know how to express himself. Neither of us are remarried. And, it turns I'm a lesbian. I thought I was bisexual, but it turns out men just aren't for me. I also dropped out of nursing school, as I was diagnosed with breast cancer the summer of 2019. With the pandemic shortly after, I'm honestly so glad I did. I could technically go back, but I'm at peace with my choice. As for now, I'm working, I'm healthy and happy. I'm planning to move states in the next year to 2, after my girls are settled into college. Then it'll be my time to be selfish, smiley face. Stories number 7. I just realized I was the golden child, and I absolutely hate both myself for blindness and my mother for her actions against my sister. I'm still absolutely speechless from what I, 24M, learned just over 20 hours ago. This isn't going to be a first-hand account of abuse, but I'll be venting on what my sister, 21, has told me. I love my sister and my nephew, 1M, more than anything and anyone else in this entire world. After I moved back home with the last year I have finally gotten extremely close to my sister. I'm not a good big brother by any standards and especially not after what I was told yesterday. I've been blind to my sister's mistreatment and abuse from my mother, our mother. For years, growing up I had always thought things were pretty normal. We lived with our mother, divorced parents, maternal grandparents basically raising us while mom worked and did school. I thought that was average. Every single chance my mother had she was there for me. School events. She bakes cookies or cupcakes. Choir or chorus, either way you say it. Front row. Christmas. Although we knew Santa wasn't real as soon as we could understand words and basic reading comprehension, she was the one to push for that. In her words, she wasn't lying to us at just telling you the truth, we always had a bunch of presents. I remember us both opening massive boxes of gifts. I just remembered it wrong in hindsight. Back to school shopping. Everything we need bought and paid for. That is the mother I knew. Aside from that, she'd always make extremely homophobic remarks. I'm definitely not straight. I've been with men, women, transgender people, both MTF and FTM. As well as non-binary people. Love is love to me, but my mother is unaware of my sexuality. I believe her remarks were and still are a source of fear for me, and her honesty impressive performances when it came time to punish either one of us. She'd whop and beat you with a thin little tree branch, still fresh from plucking off the tree. All the while daring you to scream and cry because that's only going to make it worse. Or she'd say, "Keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about." She was a fan of those two phrases for as long as I can remember. That is all the context I'll give for mother's treatment from how I incorrectly remembered them. I still can't believe that I followed what she said without question. Without looking into the discrepancies and holes in her story and my sister's demeanor when we were young. I wish I could go back in time. Protect her properly like our dad wanted, like our grandmother wanted. I know I've continually failed her as a big brother for years due to rose-colored glasses and personal issues. For that I'm sorry. My sister and I were in the car on a trip recently and she finally opened up to me while my angle of a nephews and her boyfriend, 20M, were asleep. It started with us talking about how we used to watch Danny Phantom together and SpongeBob. It was honestly light-hearted and a great time of reminiscing about our childhood. After a few minutes she got quiet and said, "She used to starve me when she was mad." That sentence echoes in my head. After that the conversation changed. Christmas. She only got presents and a proper holiday from out dad. Deceased 47M, back to school. $600 spent on me and my sister got a few sweaters from our mother. School. Mom was never there for her. My sister's track team. Absent. Debating. Not important. Dancing. Competition wasn't worth going to because you guys suck anyway, a direct quote from our mother. Emotional support. Our mother would verbally abuse her and belittle her every day behind closed doors. Her friends knew, our grandmother, 79F, knew and all tried their best to protect her. Her friends find out. No more friends. I remember when she was 14 her friends suddenly stopped coming over. Our grandmother stands up for her. No more of that either. She was banned from going to our grandparents when she was 17, my sister developed an eating disorder, so what did my mother do? She said to her, "I'll beat that WH*TE shit out of you." That is a direct quote. I know that this is true, because I've never seen or heard that level of emotion or conviction in my sister before. My mother's abuse, neglect and abandonment is almost exposed so she intentionally isolated my sister from everything and everyone who could help her. There is a whole lot more, but maybe the rest I her story to tell. I just cannot understand how I was so blind. Why was I showered with love and affection and my sister tortured? My sister, she's beautiful, strong, funny and the most honest and humble person I know. Sis. If you read this, sorry. I won't tell your full story, nor will I use any real names, I promise you that. I also cannot in good conscience now that I'm aware of the truth about what our mother has done stay completely silent. She has two faces. The one you know and the one I do. Both need to be exposed. I love you. I love you and little man with all my heart. I'd do anything for you. I'm sorry that I'm only able to stand up for you when we're adults, but I will not back down. Stories number 8. Ex-wife opened 2 credit cards in my name in the amount of $6,000. She's threatening to withhold my visitation rights for our son if I turn her in. This is a sad situation but after my divorce, I ended up moving about 30 miles away where I bought a house and got a job transfer. The divorce was finalized about 4 years ago. She got primary custody as she lives in the school district, though I get most weekends and holidays. We've been fairly cordial about it and it's been working for a while. Eventually, I'd like to get to a 50-50 as she'll be moving to a different school district once he hits high school shortly and I just move into that district. My problem is that my ex has opened up a couple of credit cards in my name. I had no idea this was happening until I received a letter from a collection agency. It was pretty obvious she was the one who opened the accounts as the address on the accounts are hers and it looks like the statements are from mainly where she shops. When I dropped our son off on Monday I told her I found the accounts and I'd have to go to the police unless she paid them off completely right away. She denied it at first, then said if I went to the police, she'd disallow visitation for safety reasons. Unfortunately, she'd be able to do this, and has done so in the past, requiring me to go back to court with my lawyer to force her to follow the parenting agreement. That's how I gained all holidays shortly after the divorce, basically as a punishment for failing to comply with the parenting order, but still allowing her to be the custodial parent. I don't want my son to have to go through this, but I am certainly not taking the hit to my credit for what she's doing. I'm probably going to make the report, but is there anything else I'd be missing her? Top comments. Commenter 1, copying this for every identity theft situation I see on here, since it seems to happen a lot, where you know who the person is who stole your identity. This is all information you can find in this sub and others. 1. Call the police, you're the victim of identity theft, plain and simple, it doesn't matter who did it or what your relationship is to them. They broke the law, now they have to face the consequences of their actions. 2. Freeze your credit, you want to make sure it doesn't happen again, take the proactive route of freezing your credit. 3. Monitor and track your credit, you need to be alerted if anyone tries opening a line of credit in your name. This gives you a way to do it and it shows your credit score. 4. Warn anyone else who might be a victim. This includes family members or anyone else whose social security number might be compromised by the thief. 5. Take the police report to the credit bureaus, give them the report number when you dispute all of the accounts. Most of the time, that will be enough for them to take the accounts off of your credit. It's on the creditors themselves to prove the accounts are legitimately yours and the bureaus aren't going to get in the middle of it. A police report goes a long way in clearing up your credit. Don't take identity theft lying down, even if it's someone close to you. If you let them get away with it, get ready for 5 to 10 years of bad credit, collection agencies coming after you, lawsuits, etc. When you're making your report to the police, I'd let them know exactly what she said regarding her intent to prevent you from seeing your kid. What sucks is you'll probably have to go back to court over it. Give your lawyer a copy of the police report for this and I would imagine they would be able to use it against your ex when you inevitably end up back in front of a judge. Commenter 2, turn her in and use that to get full custody. Family courts tend to frown upon crime. It would also be good to try to get her threats of parental alienation on video. Talk to your lawyer and start gathering evidence. Commenter 3, first off, I love how she went from denying it to threatening. Great level of trustworthiness right there. Second, literally treat her like anyone else. Someone committed fraud against you. Report it and take care of yourself. Third, drag her back to court for damages and request the parenting agreement be amended. It's clear she can't be trusted with finances and that should be grounds for losing some parenting rights. If she's violated the parenting agreement before, point out this isn't the first time she's made executive decisions. Commenter 4, dude, stop being a doormat and turn her in. She won't have a leg to stand on if she's in jail. Why you think she has any bargaining power her when she will get in trouble for identity theft and not following the custody agreement by extorting you not to turn her in lol. Update. There's some good and some bad unfortunately. Since this started several months ago she has been horrible. I went to the police regarding the credit card accounts, getting the report was painless and they said it happens a lot. Both of the credit cards have dropped off my credit report. My credit is back to normal and I've set up a credit monitor and to make sure it doesn't happen again. It doesn't look like she's going to be prosecuted for opening the cards in my name. I was told when I made the report it would be up to the credit card companies to cooperate with the prosecutors if they wanted to go through with fraud charges. Apparently they don't cooperate most of the time, but I can still ask the county to prosecute on behalf of myself, which I did. In November I got a form letter saying they wouldn't be prosecuting my case. I asked a criminal defense lawyer I know about it and he said the county maybe goes forward with 10% of criminal cases where people get arrested, it's nearly zero where there is no probable cause for an arrest. He said his job is basically just working out deals for clearly guilty people. He also said to let it go at this point, so I've come to terms with the fact that she's not going to give criminal charges and probably not even a lawsuit. She also did exactly what she said she would do and stopped letting me see our son. I've documented every single instance, about 30 total, since September that she's failed to follow our court-ordered custody agreement. I finally got her served at work, that's another thing I don't like about family courts, and she claimed I was abusive and manipulative. I had the police report for the credit cards and basically said the visitation violations started the week after I made the report. The judge basically gave her a final chance to follow the order before he would grant an alteration and she'd possibly face criminal charges. The first child exchange after the hearing a couple weeks ago she said she needs more child support and alimony, asking for an extra $1,500 a month. I told her absolutely not. Last week I went to pick him up, she never showed up and I got a documentation number from the police. Next day, new account detected, email. I got the account cancelled before the card was even sent to her address. Froze my credit, made another report, waiting for the will not prosecute letter, she's failed to show up with him ever since. Got her served at work and our new hearing is in a week and a half. I know eventually things are going to work out but she's really testing my nerves. Top comments. Commenter 1, this is exactly why CC fraud is so rampant, nothing is ever done about it. Commenter 2, get her threats in writing then report her anyway. If she tries to fuck with your custody submit her messages as evidence. Commenter 3, persistence will pay off in the long run. If she is like this with you, there is no telling how she will start treating your child when they get to their less agreeable stages of life. Hang in there. Commenter 4, damn, she's not very bright, this is all going to end up biting her in the ass and I pray it does. I think it's going to end up working out in your favor here eventually op. So what did she learn by not getting any consequences? She learned she can get away with it and figured it's okay to attempt to steal from you and fuck up your credit up yet again. I'd think that the judge is going to be pretty pissed off at her for not following custody agreements whatsoever, again. Don't know if the prosecutors will do anything about the credit card yet again, as it sounds like she didn't even get to max it out this time. It's insane to me she opened yet another credit card, she's got some balls. Update 2. It's hard to say if this is good or bad, but I'm going to take this as a win. My ex-wife didn't show up to court and the judge granted my request for what amounted to a major alteration of the custody agreement. We have another hearing in a couple of weeks, which is to confirm the new order and give her a chance to defend herself. I will be the primary custodian and my, now, wife and I couldn't be happier about it. The judge also ordered my ex to bring our son to the hearing, something she's never had to do before. Last Wednesday I got a call from DCFS saying my son was at the hospital, but only as a precaution to get checked out. I left work and got there about 45 minutes later, just as he was about to be cleared. I hadn't seen him in person in a few weeks and we both cried. DCFS said my ex and her boyfriend got into a physical domestic and during it, my son got bumped and fell into a coffee table. He ended up needing 2 stitches on the side of his head. He got a CT and everything was fine. He said he didn't want to live with my ex anymore because he doesn't like the boyfriend who moved in. CPS and I agreed as part of the safety plan, he would be staying with me until the next court date. Both my ex and her BF were taken to jail, both released the next day. It looks like they aren't being charged. He's 12 and pretty resilient. He explained that my ex and the BF argue a lot, but that was the first time it got physical. I drive him back and forth 30-ish miles for school every day and the school knows not to allow my ex to pick him up, which she tried to do on Tuesday. She has texted me a couple of times asking to talk and I told her we will deal with this in court. I wish I didn't get him like this, but I know he's safe and it's starting to look pretty good for me on the legal side of things. Also, no surprise, but no charges are being filed for the new account she tried to open several weeks ago. Edit, I'll clear up a couple things here. I would love to press charges on my ex for either keeping my son from me or identity theft. The prosecutor's office here just straight up isn't interested. I've been completely open and helpful, the original police report spells it out perfectly, the county just doesn't want to bother with it. I've checked my son's credit, thankfully the only thing there is the credit card I added him as an authorized user on. My lawyer told me freezing his credit could backfire if my ex doesn't have the PIN as the court might look at it as finance related. I currently monitor both mine and his credit with the credit alert service recommended in the OP several months back. That's how I found out about the newest account she tried to open. It saved my ass. I already pay for everything related to my son, clothes, tuition, sports, everything. Which is why it chapped my ass she wanted more. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, thanks for the update, and I'm glad your child is now safe. I would also ask the court to mandate a custody app, where all communication between your ex and you happen. It's to protect you both. Good luck, and keep being a great parent. Reply, we are probably going to head this route. Haven't had to do it yet. OOP should request the court to make his ex pay him child support. Reply, this will probably never happen. I have a decent idea what she makes from Monster, AGM at a fast food restaurant, and I make anywhere from 5-10x what she does depending on my bonus. It's why I still have 3 years for spousal support and will never be close enough in salary that she would ever owe me anything, even if I had full custody. Commenter 2, you may want to try to get a court order prohibiting her from using your financial information from taking out credit in your name. Should the court grant such an order, then if she violates it she will be in contempt of court, which may be easier to prosecute. I advise running it by your attorney. Good luck. Commenter 3, may I also suggest you see if there is some kind way to stop her from using the child's social security number to get credit? I have seen tons of posts about parents who take out debts in their children's names and the kids don't find out till later and are saddled with that debt and or a bad credit score. I know this kid is only 12, so I don't know what she could or couldn't do, but a woman who has done all these other things would not be above doing this. Reply, I wholeheartedly agree and I asked my family lawyer about it. He said it best, both my ex and myself would have to have access to the PIN. At worst, if I froze his credit and my ex fought it she could use it against me, even with the identity theft she's already done. Commenter 4, would ask judge for the mom to have supervised visitations from now on. She has some dude living over there beating everybody's asses. And I would be filing a restraining order on dude so he can't be anywhere near your son. Full stop. Stories number 9. My husband cheated on me. My husband is cheating on me and when I found out it was like the air was knocked out of my lungs. I can't breathe. It felt like someone hit me, F34, so hard that it knocked me down. We have been married for 9 years and I thought he was my person. We have been together since 2013. He, M33, admitted it's been going on for over a year. He met her online. He works remotely out of our flat and I do not. I'm a personal trainer and he's a human resources coordinator, and I found out he's had her in our flat while I've been at work and he's not working. I have an appointment with a solicitor on Tuesday and I'm considering my options. I just can't believe this is happening to me. I love him so much. It feels like the air has been knocked out of my lungs. I have posted an update to this. Top comments. Commenter 1, been there and got the t-shirt. It's devastating. Cruel and devastating. I'm sorry it has happened to you. It's super hard when you find out you have married someone selfish who lives a double life. Don't know if he is trying to manipulate you into believing it's somehow your fault, but unless he came to you and expressed unhappiness and you ignored it, you are in no way at fault. Best things I did that helped me recover. Join a divorce recovery group. Many churches and community centers have them. It helped to have others dealing with many of the same issues as me. Learned a lot too. Tell everyone, your parents and his parents and all of your friends, accept their support. No, it may be hard, but try to avoid feeling ashamed. You didn't do this, he did. Individual therapy focused on processing your grief, healing from the trauma he had caused and figuring out a new life plan. Took my time, 2 years after the end of a 10-year marriage before I dated, wanted to be strong, fully healed and not be needy to avoid getting in a wrong relationship if possible. Developed a support system of 3 close friends who I could call day or night to help me through the first few months, helped me to be strong. You describe it accurately when you said it feels like the air has been knocked out you. It's likely that you will go through the stages of grief, some of them more than once: denial, bargaining, anger, and acceptance. Sometimes I went through all of them in the same day. Hang in there and be kind to yourself. Best of luck as you travel this difficult but well-worn path. Commenter 2, I am so sorry that you have to go through this. Get all the advice you can and then take a little time think, but also make sure that your husband can't take any steps that would make things harder for you. Commenter 3, OP. In conjunction with the above, privately confer with a seasoned family law attorney to discuss your entitlements and alternatives. Do this before you move out. After you consult, secretly plan your exit strategy. Is he big on social media? Announce his transgressions to family, friends and acquaintances. Make him regret it for the rest of his life. What an AH. Please keep us apprised. Update. In my original post, I, F33, wrote about discovering that my husband, M34, is cheating on me with a woman he met on Instagram. It felt like the air was knocked out of my lungs. When I found out he invited her, F30s, to our flat when I was working, I'm a personal trainer and cannot work remotely. He is a human resources coordinator and works exclusively from home. I felt sick. I made an appointment with a solicitor and I was considering what to do. I love him so much and he wanted us to go to counseling and stay married. My update is that we aren't staying married and I have decided to seek a divorce. My husband got upset at that. The other woman ended up being pregnant and her own husband wasn't the father, my husband is. I found out from my solicitor that she is having some legal issues in addition to the issues in her personal life. After my husband was confined as the father that came with him having at least half custody if not full custody of his son. My husband said I could be his son's mum and we could raise him together. I do want to be a mum but I don't want to raise a child that isn't mine. I decided to go through with a divorce. I moved out and I'm not speaking with my husband. I am working with the landlord to get out of our leasehold. Since my husband and I don't own property or have children and are both employed, the biggest thing with our divorce is the timing. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen instantly. We aren't wealthy, so anything we do have will be equally split. I have a solicitor and am just waiting out the time until the divorce goes through. My husband doesn't want a divorce but he can't stop it. I still love him. I know it makes me an idiot. But I was considering staying, but I couldn't stay married to him after he wanted me to raise his son. Even though I still love him. Some days I still can't believe this is really happening to me. That is my update. Top comments. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Just remember, your husband did this to you. He ruined your marriage when he slept with someone else. This is his fault. Don't ever feel guilty for putting yourself first. And for that shiny backbone. You'll be better off without him. Commenter 2, in this case, he wants to be together because now he have to raise the consequences of his actions, his child with AP, for the rest of his life. He wants OP because then the whole child care would fall on her and he can be off to sticking his peanuts into more holes and produce more consequences. If you're not happy in your relationship, just communicate it, go to therapy SND when and if all fail then get a drive or break up before finding someone else. He wasn't just cheating for a year but he wasn't being careful while his AP was cheating on her own husband. I just feel bad for OP and the other husband and hopefully they both move on and find their happiness. Commenter 3, happy for you and guess what? You're free. Take a deep breath and enjoy your new life, cry a little, stress a little, but don't feed any what-ifs daydreams. It's a mourning process, but welcome to an eventual weight off your shoulders. Commenter 4. Hubby doesn't want the divorce because he doesn't want to be the one doing the work of parenting his child, especially if he gets full custody. What a waste of a whole person. Stories number 10. He forgot to log out, and I watched my marriage fall apart in real time. I don't even know what to say right now. My hands are shaking, my stomach is in knots, and I feel like I'm about to throw up. I don't even know why I'm posting this, maybe just to get it out of my system. I feel like if I don't, I'm going to lose my mind. I, 32F, have been married to my husband, Ryan, 34M, for 6 years. We met in our mid-20s, had one of those sweet, steady relationships, nothing overly dramatic or passionate, just comfortable. Safe. We were best friends, planning our future. I thought we were solid. God, I really thought we were. But apparently, I've been an idiot. I found out he was cheating in the dumbest, most ridiculous way possible. He forgot to log out of his email. I wasn't even snooping. I wasn't looking for anything. I was sitting on the couch last night, half asleep, and he was on his laptop, probably paying bills or checking sports scores or whatever. He closed it when he was done and went to bed before me, like he always does. I didn't think twice about it, but then, maybe an hour later, I needed to check my email. My laptop was dead, and his was sitting right there, so I grabbed it real quick. I figured I'd just open a new tab, log in, check my package tracking, and that'd be it. Except the second I moved the mouse, the screen lit up, and there it was. An open email thread with someone named Samantha. My stomach dropped. I don't know why I clicked on it. Maybe I already knew, deep down. Maybe some sick part of me needed to see it with my own eyes. What I saw made my blood run cold. She had sent him a picture not fully naked, but enough to make me feel like the room was spinning. And his response, God, I can't stop thinking about the other night. I wish I was in your bed right now instead of at home. At home, with me. I felt like I was going to throw up. My ears were ringing, my face was hot, and I was just staring at those words, trying to process them. It didn't feel real. I wanted to close the laptop, pretend I never saw it, crawl into bed next to him and go back to the life I thought I had, but I didn't. I scrolled. And scrolled. And scrolled. Months. Months of emails. Of meetups. Of, I miss you, and, I wish I could see you, and, I hate sneaking around. And the worst part? She knew about me. She wasn't some clueless woman who had no idea he was married. She mentioned me by name. I can't wait until you leave her. Have you told her yet? Are you really still sleeping with her? That's disgusting. If you love me, why are you still there? That last one, that one made my vision blur. If you love me, why are you still there? I don't even remember closing the laptop. I don't remember getting up. The next thing I knew, I was standing at the foot of our bed, looking down at him while he slept so peaceful, like he hadn't just destroyed everything we built together. I wanted to wake him up and scream in his face. I wanted to throw ice water on him, slap him, smash his goddamn laptop against the wall, but I didn't. I just stood there, because in that moment, I realized I wasn't looking at my husband anymore. I was looking at a liar. A stranger. Someone I thought I knew, but clearly never really did. I barely slept that night. I just laid there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was suffocating. By the time the sun came up, I had already made my decision. I got up, got dressed, and packed a bag. I didn't even care if he woke up and saw me. I was done, but before I walked out the door, I went back to his laptop, pulled up his email, and typed one last message to Samantha. You can have him. Then I shut the laptop, grabbed my bag, and left. That was 24 hours ago. I haven't answered his calls. I haven't answered his texts. I don't even know what the hell I'm supposed to do next. All I know is that I'm never going back. Stories number 11. In 5 days I'm coming clean, and it will probably end my marriage. I've been married to my husband for nearly 17 years, together for 20. I knew that prior to our relationship he struggled with money issues, and it is a huge trigger for him. So what did I manage to do? Take over the bills a couple years ago and completely fucked it up. Credit card debt, juggling zero interest cards, all that jazz. My credit has been on a slow and steady decline. I've been trying to keep things out of his name so his credit is okay. I have so much guilt and shame. I was so stupid to let it happen. I used shopping, expensive hobbies, and poor financial habits as a way to cover up my anxiety and depression. I lost my mom, we've had a lot of medical debt, travel for my mom and medical reasons, etc. None of those things are excuses for lying to him though. I am so overwhelmed and guilty. He has no idea. On Friday we are going to sit down to review finances while our kids are at school and I am going to come clean. I have no idea how he is going to react. It might be bad, high divorce, but even best case scenario he is never going to trust me again. And I don't deserve his trust. He didn't deserve any of this. I have totally betrayed his trust and it keeps me up at night. Part of me is ready to come clean and be honest. The other, cowardly part of me wants to keep up the charade. I'm finally going to be brave and be honest. I feel sick. Stories number 12. Aita for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair. My best friend is getting married this June and I am one of the bridesmaids. Her bridesmaid trip is set for end of May in Chicago. We will be driving there and it's over 4 days. However, I don't want to attend the trip anymore. We have booked the Airbnb which was $176 per person and I paid my portion. Her demands from us for a wedding have gotten out of hand. Her wedding is over 3 days and we have 3 different bridesmaids dresses which have cost me $700 and it cost $200 to get them altered. Makeup for the weekend is $225 per person and I haven't even gotten my shoes or jewelry. Not to mention she is requiring us to have certain hairstyles which would require hair extensions which would cost me at least $200. Financially this is becoming too much for me. I know agreed to be her bridesmaid and will fulfill my duties during the wedding, however going to Chicago and spending all that money is something I am no longer willing or able to do. I won't be asking back my portion of the Airbnb because that was my contribution I made willingly. I have yet to tell her that I won't be going to Chicago but I am the asshole for not going. Up until now I have attended and participated in every way as a bridesmaid and been there when she needs me but the trip is too much. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Info. Did you talk to her about it becoming a financial burden for you, and if so did she try to accommodate some of the costs for you? Reply. I have talked to her about the change in my financial situation mostly because of a job change and also unexpected health costs for a health condition. She did help with the dress alterations by sending me $50 so that made my contribution $200. Every help counts and I deeply appreciate it, however it still doesn't change that Chicago is a stretch for me. Commenter 2. NTA those are outrageous demands. Who is this chick? Is she super wealthy? Reply. Let's just say the wedding costs way more than the down payment for a big house. Commenter 3. Wow. That's insane. I assume you're still going to the wedding, right? Did you tell bride you're not going on the trip? Edit. Wait, no. I reread. I see you haven't asked. How do you think she will react? Reply. Yes. I'm still part of the wedding and I will doing everything that is local until then. I am helping with the wedding shower with the other bridesmaids as well. I have yet to tell her because I do feel guilty for not going but also I am overwhelmed by it all. I don't think she'll be happy and it might be a little uncomfortable for a while. But I hope she will see that if I could do it, I would. Aita for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair. August 13, 2021. For my friend's 3-day wedding, I had to buy 3 different dresses, including alterations, and specific shoes which totaled over $700. She also wanted specific hairstyles for each day. Unfortunately, starting in March my hair started to deteriorate. Due to health reasons my hair was falling out in chunks and in May I made the difficult decision to cut my hair. I told the bride about my decision 2 weeks before the wedding and she didn't say anything bad. The following week, she came over to my house and when she was about to leave, she brought up that she was concerned about my haircut and I told her it would look good even though I wouldn't be uniform with the other bridesmaids. The following day I received this message. After our recent conversations, I'd like to remind you of my boundaries. I've been very accommodating and graceful, but I can't allow you to disrespect me. As you know, my wedding has been something I've dreamt of for many years. Husband. And I have invested a lot of money into the video and photos of this day, and as we reflect on this day and the further we want to see our vision reflected in the memories. Since I asked each of you to be bridesmaid in 2019, I've been very clearly and very communicative in my request. The timing of your decision to cut your hair and not income in advance is very upsetting to me. I would have felt respected if you had communicated with me more than a week prior to the wedding, so we could have worked together to find a collaborative solution. Your inconsistencies have concerned me, and while I sympathize with your health concerns, I'm not willing to compromise my vision to accommodate you, or anyone else, when you have informed me in advance and we could have found a better solution. Since this is something you can no longer fully commit to, I need you to please step down from participating in my wedding. This was 3 days before the wedding. I immediately sent her and her husband an invoice asking them to reimburse for the dresses and shoes. Keeping in mind that one of the dresses is still in her possession even though I paid for it. Neither of them replied, and so I decided to take it to court. I was told I was inconsistent and selfish after I spent the past 2 weeks helping her plan the wedding shower. I worked with another bridesmaid to surprise her with a bridal shower after our bachelorette trip had to be cancelled. I spent hours helping her out with wedding details. When she asked me to help her tone up before the wedding, I sent her a personalized workout program and even went with her to the gym to show her the ropes. When I agreed to be her bridesmaid, I was more than willing to oblige with what she asked, even if at times it was a lot of time and money. So am I the asshole for taking her to court because she kicked me out for cutting my hair? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm very sorry about your health situation, Impending. This is not how a friend would treat another friend, and a supposedly valued one at that, since she asked you as a bridesmaid. I'm also sorry you found out this way. This woman is not your friend. Reply. That's honestly what sucks the most. I thought our friendship was much deeper than that. The fact that she was at the house the night before for 3 hours just hanging out, talking and helping her with wedding stuff just to receive this the next day. I know for sure I don't want her in my life, but that doesn't negate that she's someone I loved, cared for, and all the memories of our friendship. Commenter 2. NTA. Since when is cutting your own hair crossing someone's boundaries? Feels like she wants her bridesmaids to be carbon copies of each other. This girl is going to be a real pickle for her husband. Gonna suck to be him. Good luck on the lawsuit. Make sure you add up everything you've spent towards this wedding. Reply. She's definitely a handful. As much as I would love to ask for all the money back, which comes up to almost $2,000, I decided to just ask for the money spent on dresses, dress alterations, and shoes because I can't use them for anything. They aren't my style, and selling them will be hard because they've been altered to my body. Commenter 3. Info. Is your hair much shorter, as you said in a comment, or did you buzz your head completely? Are we talking pixie cut or military? Either way, I don't think you're the asshole, but I understand your friend not wanting a literally bald bridesmaid. It's extremely materialistic of her to appreciate looks over your feelings, but if that is who she is, then don't be surprised she doesn't want a single bald head standing out in her wedding photos. She doesn't care about you. Reply. Nope, I'm not bald. It's more of a tapered cut. For info, I am black and have coarse hair. Commenter 4. NTA. I'm not sure that you will win. Though if you file in small claims and she ignores it, then you win by default. Reply. I did file in small claims and I believe she has been served. No court date yet because of COVID, but we shall see. Commenter 5. Even if you don't win, the look on the judge's face when she tries to explain herself will be quite something. Reply. Honestly, that's a big reason why I'm taking her court. I want to hear her explain herself because I never got anything besides gaslighting and being called inconsistent and disrespectful. I want to see what ridiculous reasoning she's come up with. Was there a contract? There is no contract or verbal contract. I had obliged to every single thing she wanted: dresses, shoes, makeup, jewelry. The last day of the wedding was a Monday, so even took off work. The only thing was my hair. I physically could no longer do any of the hairstyles, and wigs are just too expensive, and because of how much I had already spent, I couldn't afford one. Aita for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair. Update May 6, 2022, 1 year later. This has been a long time coming. I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking what the results of the case have been. Unfortunately, I could no longer post comments on my previous post as well. I figured I would wait until everything was done to update everyone all at once. In December 2021, I got the notification that a court date had been set for February 7, 2022. It would be virtual, and since it's small claims, we would represent ourselves. I began gathering my evidence and created a virtual file which I shared with the court and her 7 days before the hearing. On the day, she did show up. We were given the chance to settle, but that was unsuccessful. When we returned to the hearing, I found out she also had made a virtual file with her evidence but never shared it with me. The court then made her share it, and what a surprise I had. She had copied my entire format for presenting evidence. Keep in mind that this is a format I created. She didn't even have the decency, or brain cells, to make something up herself. The hearing proceeded and we were both given a chance to share our side. I won't go into the details of it, but it took probably 10 to 15 minutes. In my state they do not give you the verdict right away, and it can take up to 90 days. And so, I waited. And waited. And waited. And waited. Then yesterday, May 5th, almost 90 days after, I got a verdict. I won. She has been ordered to pay me the total of $808.94 for the dresses and shoes. I have to return 2 dresses and shoes I have to her. The verdict goes into effect May 30th. I don't see her appealing it, or fingers crossed she doesn't. All in all, I am very happy with the outcome and so ready to close this chapter. Thank you to everyone who has been so invested in this with me. I hope this was the season finale you were looking forward to. P.S. My hair and health are doing much better. My 3 bald spots are growing again and I couldn't be happier. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You'll probably not see this but just in case, in your original post you said, honestly that's a big reason why I'm taking her court. I want to hear her explain herself because I never got anything besides gaslighting and being called inconsistent and disrespectful. I want to see what ridiculous reasoning she's come up with. So, did she give any explanation? Reply, nope. It was still the gaslighting and being called inconsistent and disrespectful. She never gave a proper explanation. Commenter 2, thank you for sharing. I'm so glad you got your money back and your health has improved. What type of evidence did Bride bring forward for her case? Reply, I talked to a lawyer friend of mine who said I should show that I never broke any contract or terms for being in Bridesmaid, I was never inconsistent, didn't show up to events etc., and evidence of purchases. All the receipts for dresses, shoes and dress alteration. 2. Conversations between the bride and I dating back to March 2021 showing that I mentioned my hair problems. 3. Proof that she never said if I couldn't do the hairstyles I couldn't be in the wedding. 4. Proof of being there for almost events including planning and holding multiple ones. That's the basic rundown of the categories I would say. Commenter 2, but what did she have in her evidence file? So curious. Reply, it was so stupid. She had screenshots of our messages after I responded to her kicking me out. She also included screenshots of a reporter who reached out to her regarding my first Reddit post. And then screenshots showing me wearing a wig for my birthday, almost 3 months after the wedding, which was actually a birthday gift from my sister. The screenshots of my birthday was weird because she blocked me on Instagram. Oh, and she also included screenshots of my Instagram story and Twitter because I was sharing this story as it was happening. Not sure what she thought that evidence would do because I have every right to post on my socials what I want. Commenter 3, can I ask what reporter reached out to her? Or from where they were so I can search the article? Reply, I know a reporter reached out to her cause she tried to use the messages between them as evidence. I would love to share those but they are not mine to share and I don't want to overstep and share personal conversations. Stories number 13. Aita forgoing no contact with my birth family as soon as I turned 18 even though my adoption was always open. I, 18M, was adopted at birth by my parents. They went through an adoption agency for me like they did for my sister, 20F. I have a brother, 23M, who was also adopted but through foster care instead. My brother didn't have any contact with his birth family. My sister had regular contact with hers and we're all pretty close to them and they're great people. She'd see both her bio sides a few times a year and had calls with them regularly. With my birth family it was a yearly visit with monthly phone calls. When I got a little older there were invites sent for me to join for certain family functions but I always turned those down. And the thing about it all is I have never felt connected to my birth family and I don't consider them my family either. Like my birth family yes, but to me? I don't know how to describe it exactly. I know I come from them. That I wouldn't exist without them and that I'll always be related to them through DNA. On the other hand my adoptive family are the family I love and think of as actual family. And since I'm being honest I should say that I had wanted to cut ties with my birth family for years. But I didn't want to make things difficult when I was under 18. I know there are people who judge me for that. I'm in some adoption forums and I get judged pretty harshly for rejecting my bios and especially for not wanting a good relationship with my bio siblings. They're all full too which is a little different from most but angers some other adoptees I've connected with who feel like I should see them as siblings just as much as my siblings from my adopted family. But anyway, some stuff about my birth family has always annoyed me. I compare them a lot to my sister's family because she's still in contact with hers and close to them and so are the rest of us. She's got a good relationship going there and always will most likely. But her birth parents never acted like they could overrule our parents. They never got weird with our parents. Her half-siblings were cool about her having me and our brother. She never got shit for calling us her brothers and saying her half-siblings were family instead of saying siblings. Her extended birth families never bitched about her missing stuff they threw for their family or how they weren't invited to every single thing. When my sister graduated high school and she wanted to do an intimate family celebration with just our family and a bigger celebration with everyone also there was no drama. So I consider hers the best kind of open adoption. I don't feel like that about mine. My birth parents stayed together unlike my sister's. They weren't as open about stuff as hers were either. My sister knows her birth parents were thinking of her and how they wouldn't be able to get their shit together and her extended families weren't in the best place for it. They even wrote a letter for her and another for our parents expressing all they wanted for her was the best. They even bought her a stuffy to always have with her. It wasn't a huge thing, but it was something they wanted her to have so she'd feel like she wasn't just given away. With mine, they only ever said I came at a bad time because they were in college. But with how they act, I think they saw giving me up as temporary. I think their families wanted me in their lives too, but not to be a part of keeping me in the family. What I remember most is how during visits my birth parents would seem annoyed if my parents were correcting me for something or being affectionate with me. They'd try to parent me, which was weird because I talked to them more, but I only saw them once a year. My birth parents loved to say they were my parents. They'd call me their son and got upset when I was called my parents' son. They'd also be upset that I didn't enjoy alone time with them and their kids like they wanted, and I always wanted my parents and siblings back. There were some talks with my parents and birth parents that I was never involved in, but my birth parents would be so angry after them. Their kids were always so jealous of my relationship with my siblings. I don't even remember the number of times I was told by their kids that I was their sibling and not my actual sibling's sibling. Or that I was told I shouldn't talk to my siblings in front of them because it made them sad. One year my birth family visited us and it got super weird because my birth parents' kids were super annoyed at some of the photos of me and my siblings and wanted to recreate them with me and wanted those to replace the ones at home. My extended birth families complained about not being invited to my birth parties or not being allowed to host their own for me where I'd fly out. But they wanted me alone. Then it was weddings. Then it was how mad they were that I took part in a tradition on my mom's side to add a recipe to a family cookbook and make it with my grandma. There was a lot of cyber stalking going on and grumbling. A lot of the calls I had with them were the same, where they'd bring up stuff I'd done with my family and kind of whine about it. I got asked a lot why I didn't call them mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and stuff. But anyway, I started waiting for the day I could end contact with them, and it came in November. I don't answer their calls anymore, and I expressed that I won't be visiting this summer either and don't want them to visit. There's been a lot of backlash. My parents wanted me to let them deal with it, but I don't want it misunderstood. This isn't my parents' decision. It's mine. And I'll be pissed, not them, if my birth family tries to show up or anything. The biggest thing I'm getting via DMs on socials that I had to make private and text, which made me change my number after blocking didn't work, is that I have a whole ass family who wants me and to think of the kids involved. My bio siblings especially, because they miss me and they're so young and stuff. Stories number 14. I'm not moving in with my boyfriend because of my cat. Throwaway, and I'm on mobile, sorry for format. I've been dating my 24F boyfriend, 26M, for a bit over a year now, and he really wants me to move in with him. The problem? My cat. My cat is 16 and dying. The vet says it would be unwise to hope for anything past 6 months. I've had this cat since I was a child. He was there for me through everything. There are a few reasons I don't want to move. 1. Moving is really stressful for cats, and I don't want to cause any unneeded stress for my old boy. 2. My boyfriend has a fairly energetic Rottweiler. My cat has never been good with dogs, almost killed when he was 2 years old. We had to amputate his leg, it was so badly crushed injured. I understand my boyfriend wants me to be close to him, I want that too, but is it really so much to ask for a few months for my cat to pass away? It hurts me so much that he keeps calling me unfair and not committed in this relationship. I am. But my longest friend is dying, and I want him to be comfortable. He doesn't seem to grasp how important my cat is to me. He has never liked cats, and even made the joke, when he's gone I will finally be your number one man. I don't know how to handle this at all. Any advice is welcome. Comments. Commenter 1. If he has a dog, how can he not understand what it's like to love an animal? OOP. He doesn't think cats actually have emotions or something. He's one of those people who thinks cats are evil and dogs are a saving grace, which was fine before. I understand not liking cats is almost as common as liking them. Commenter 2. I get that he might not like the cat himself, but not why he doesn't understand how you feel about the cat. Commenter 3. I don't think it's unreasonable. After 16 years the cat is part of the family. Of course you want to make his passing as easy and safe as possible. If he doesn't get it, frankly he sounds like a tool. Update. First off, let me say I'm still shaking, so if this is a rambled mess I am sorry. All your kind words from yesterday made me cry, thank you all so much. I thought I would give some backstory to how my BF and I met. It was through a support group, as I mentioned. Growing up, until age 7, I had a very abusive dad. When I was 7 he tried to kill my mother and I. Luckily the cops intervened and they took him away. My mom charged him and he got put away. When the trial was done, we moved, and my mom gave me Moo, don't judge the name, I was 8, from a local shelter. I didn't fit in at the new school, and Moo was the best thing in my life. Back to the support group. I shared my story, and my BF confronted me after saying he also had abusive parents growing up, and we bonded over our similar situations. I didn't realize how much control he had over me until recently. He convinced me to stop seeing my therapist. We also stopped going to group. He used to tell me what to wear, how to style my hair, it's very curly, and recently I've been straightening it because he would always say it looked better. A few hours ago, I invited him over for lunch and to talk. Luckily, Moo was in my room sleeping. I told him what you guys said, saying that if it was his dog he would be upset. He blew up. He told me that wasn't the point. The point was I wasn't committed to him, or didn't care about us. He started throwing things, a glass, some books I had lying about, and some picture frames. It was terrifying. I had never seen him this angry before, and I just reverted back to what I used to do as a kid. Curl up, cover yourself as much as you can, stay quiet. Bless my roommate, who came home during this fit. She had brought the security guard because as she was walking in she heard the shouting items breaking. My BF was escorted out. As he left I just screamed, "Don't come back." I hope it sticks. I've blocked his number, and my landlady has been notified not to let him in, as have the guards. Next step is neighbors. I don't really know what to do from here. I emailed my therapist, hopefully she will let me come back. My mom is on the way over right now, and my roommate is with me too. I'm so terrified. I didn't realize how much control he had over me. I thought all his early behaviors was just because he had clingy issues from his own upbringing. I'm going to have a bath, relax, let my hair go curly again, and cuddle my baby. I'm really glad Moo was in my room. Thank you all for the help. I didn't think any of this was wrong until you guys brought it up. I still love him, and feel bad for him. He had a shit upbringing too, and I'm sure he's messed up from it, but I'm going to try to move on. After my cat dies, I'm going to move out from this place, to somewhere he doesn't know about. Thank you all again. Edit for everyone who wants to see Moo. Copy from another comment. I don't want to be identified in case anyone I know or in the future know find this, that's why I made a throwaway, as I do have a regular Reddit account. Imagine this, pretty big tomcat, mainly white with 3 huge black spots on his back, leg, and side of his head, minus the back right leg, and yellow eyes. 8-year-old me thought he looked like a cow, and cows moo, hence the name Moo. He's pretty derpy, but he's mine. Edit 2, moved to tears again by all your comments. Thank you. I'm going to log off this account now, and hopefully never have a reason to use it again. Thank you all so much for the help, I love you all. Comments. Commenter 1. As distressing as it must have been for you, I'm so glad he finally showed his true colors, but even more so that you were brave enough to end things for good. You're a strong woman and getting back to therapy will make you stronger and more aware of the intentions of any future abusers who may want to prey on you because of what you've been through. By the way, curly hair is gorgeous. Seriously, wear your curls with pride. Commenter 2. Sorry you had to find out he sucks that way up. Stick to your guns and don't let him back in. He is controlling and most likely could have become physical if not for your roommate coming. Don't let the sob stories from him get to you. Commenter 3. Yep, he was trying to separate OP from Moo because they always try to take away our support systems. He couldn't stand there was anything you loved more than him. Good riddance and stay strong, OP. Commenter 4. I'm pretty sure this comment will get lost among the others, but maybe you'll see it and I think you need all the support right now, no matter how small. I'm sure it's hard to let him go and you still love him. It's not like you can fall out of love in a matter of seconds, but please stay strong and don't take him back under any circumstances. I'm sure you already know this, as you seem like an extremely bright and sensible lady, just maybe you need to read this in a weaker moment. Surround yourself with all the support you can, family, friends, therapy, take legal action if needed. I don't care how shit his upbringing was. It might be a reason to be abusive, but never an excuse. Don't let history repeat itself. Take care, cuddle your buddy. Reply, thank you. My mom got here a while ago and she said the same thing, don't end up like she did. It's scary how I almost went into the same cycle. I love him, but some of the things he screamed at me, I hate that cat, I'll kill him, amongst others, scared me. I could never expose my cat to that. I won't go back to someone who would hurt something so close to me. Update commenting in Aboru in the other sub, 6.5 years later. Hi everyone. This is kinda crazy. I was on my regular Reddit account, I am an avid follower of this subreddit, when I saw my own post on here. I thought I would give some updates. Moo died around 4 months after this post. He was put down, since his quality of life was declining rapidly and while he could have lived maybe another 3 or 4 months, I didn't want that for him. He was in the last stages of kidney disease, and needing so many drugs of subcutaneous hydration to just keep him going. I miss him every single day. I still have his ashes with me, and I make sure to keep him in a sunbeam on the window. That was his favorite thing. Regarding my ex, the embarrassing part of it is, I still felt so badly for him for so long. I saw a comment on the original post that said it sounded like I was just looking for validation that his behavior wasn't okay, and I think that's true. Besides controlling my hair, he also pretty much decided everything in our relationship. What we did together, what we ate, shows we watched. It seemed so small at the time, that him never wanting to go to the places I picked or listen to the music I liked. He always had a reason at first, but then eventually it was just because he didn't want to do those things. And for some reason I let that happen. I did try to go back to that therapist and the group, but even after I told her and them what happened I felt unsafe being there. For the first few months, he would stake out my apartment, and I couldn't trust he wasn't also following me to therapy. Maybe stake out isn't the right word, but he would leave letters and packages and stuff outside my building, so I knew he was there. Could be there at any time. Cops were not helpful since he never made himself known to me, although my roommate swears she saw him a couple times across the street. Basically just said to be careful. My therapist and I moved to phone calls, for a while. I don't know if this will surprise anyone, but turns out ex-BF was into the nose sugar. A lot of our fights I now think he was high for at least some of them, especially the last blow up. He ended up getting in a fight with some dudes at a bar and he was fucked up when booked. This was probably about a month or so after Mumu died. I broke my lease, which my roommate who I still am friends with, was really nice about. I moved back in with my mom, lives in different town, for a few months, before finding another job just one town over from her. This was her suggestion. She wanted to keep an eye on me and make sure I didn't let him back into my life. She was and is my rock to this day. He got out after only a few months for good behavior, and while he didn't know where I lived I am extremely thankful for my mom. There are times when I would hear that his experience changed him, via PPL I knew, and I would think, maybe he has changed. I was so lonely without Mumu. My mom nipped those in the bud every time. She would ask me things like, even if you go back what then? You get married and have kids. Do you think you would be a good father? It was sobering to think of what I experienced as a child being continued. Eventually I steeled myself with the help of a new therapist, suggested from my old one, and worked on my self-confidence a lot. About what I deserve. When COVID hit I had a lot of time to kinda break down parts of my life I didn't before. I have tried being in relationships since, but there was this underlying feeling of stress in each one. About 2 years ago I figured out I think I am asexual. Sex was always so uncomfortable for me, even when it was physically enjoyable I never really wanted the act. I just assumed this was trauma and fear of intimacy. That is what most people and therapists had told me. I am currently in a relationship with a lovely person, NB, and we are both asexual. We do kiss, but we rarely ever move beyond that. With them, there is no expectation for more. They are also from a less than happy childhood, they were in the foster system, but that isn't my story to share so I won't. Just know that I am happy. We have been together for a year, and they are so considerate and kind. They bring me flowers at least once a month, they make sure I can express myself, they encourage my interests and actually want to hear about them. Most of all, they love my curly hair, and they love cats. I never adopted another cat after Mumu. I think I was terrified for a long time that if I did, they could be used against me. My partner has 2 cats, who I love. We are currently trying to work out moving in together. My place has a better location, but theirs is larger. We've decided to try and find a completely new place together that we can both agree on, but the process for rentals in right now is horrid. There has been 2 places so far that we applied to and didn't get. Anyway, my life is going great. I still have lots of trauma that I live with, but I know I can get back up when I fall. I have people I love, who also love me. I probably won't respond to any comments, and I'll most likely delete this account in a few days. I don't need it anymore. But before I did, I thought leaving one last update was called for. Thank you for all your kind words, and helping me find confidence to get out of that relationship. Much love to everyone. Stories number 15. Aita for saying I wouldn't take care of my sister's kids and doing what I said. So, me, 22F, and my sister Linda, 30, have never had a good relationship. We have been arguing for as long as I can remember. She loves being around people and when we lived together she would often invite friends and our family over. We always had something to celebrate. I don't like all that, I prefer to have silence. She also often borrowed my things, her friends came into my room without asking, etc. When I was 16 we had a huge fight about her wedding. Since then I have limited my contact with her, I never speak to her first, we never talk at family gathering. I haven't gone to her birthday party for years and I haven't invited her to mine. I also barely know her children, 5M, 3F, I mostly see them only during the holidays. But on February 15th, my mother told me that Linda would bring her children the next day and that I would take care of them. I was confused. I never agreed to this and I already had a plan for that day. I said I wouldn't do that. My mother said she'd talk with Linda. Then Linda called me and said she was going to drop the kids off anyway. I said if she'd do that, her kids would be home alone. She didn't care. The next day Linda showed up with her children. She tried to explain to me what her children's schedule looked like, and every time I told her, I'm leaving the house. I'm not taking care of your children. She didn't listen to me and she left. After about 10 to 15 minutes my friends showed up. I sent Linda a picture of me sitting in their car and said, take your kids, I'm leaving. I also sent this to her husband and then I turned off the phone. When I returned at 8 p.m. my parents were quiet but I saw that they were not happy. The next day Linda showed up at our house and started yelling at me. She called me lazy and said I could have hurt her kids. I said I did exactly what I said I would do. We argued for something like 2 hours, but when I asked her where she had to go and why she chose me of all people, she couldn't answer and she started yelling at me again. I later told my friends about it and they were divided. Some said I had done nothing wrong, but others got a bit annoyed and said that if they had known we were leaving the kids, they wouldn't have gone anywhere with me. Just to clarify something, the reason I didn't leave right away was because A, I still wasn't ready, B, my friends weren't there yet. I also didn't let her in the house. Linda has the keys. It is not my house, it is our parents' house. Stories number 16. My fiancé has been secretly recording me and sending it to his friends. A month ago my fiancé and I were having sex. I felt him reach for his phone while behind me. I asked him if he was recording me. Something I would never consent to. He said of course not, I never check his phone because I've never felt a need to. That is until this morning as I was getting ready for work. The notifications on his phone were blowing up. I was curious so I tapped the screen and saw it was about 16 Snap notifications. I asked him who they were from and he told me to check for myself since he felt I was doubting him and he's done nothing wrong. So I enter his password and see loads of unopened snaps. My intuition guided my finger towards a specific snap perhaps because the little character or whatever the fuck it's called looked like a girl. I see a bunch of messages between both him and this person. Bam, my ass is gyrating on the screen. I immediately felt nauseous. I threw my ring at him and asked him to leave my apartment. I feel terrible, I have no one to talk to about this. I have no idea how long he's been doing it for or how many of his friends have seen me on full display. For the most part one dressed modesty and like to be reserved. Even if I wasn't a modest woman, this is so wrong, I feel so violated and betrayed. In the moment he denied it, then he begged forgiveness and has been texting me all day. I'm going through a range of emotions, mostly anger, then I want to cry but for some reason I cannot and then I feel nothing. I'm worried he might have more videos or pics and he will try to use them against me if I continue to ignore him. I feel broken and stupid. We got engaged on Valentine's Day. I want revenge. Maybe that's just my anger speaking. I honestly feel insanely sad and disappointed. What can or should I do? I don't think I could ever forgive this or trust him. This relationship has definitely ran its course. He says he's willing to do anything but honestly I will never see him the same. Stories number 17. Wife of 7 years cheated on me. Now everyone in my circle, friends, her parents and my parents are suggesting me to take her back. Don't know what to do. I met my wife 10 years ago, we both were in college, dated for 3 years and married for 7. She is beautiful and amazing person and everyone in my family loves her. 4 months ago I found out my wife was having an affair with a mutual friend of ours. It was a 1.5-month affair. She was acting very shady at that time. She would ignore my messages, turn me down every time I try to initiate sex. I thought something was wrong. I did snooping but found nothing. Eventually I hired a PI. Within 1 week I got proofs. She was having an affair with our mutual friend. I immediately confronted her. She confessed having an affair. Immediately she started crying, begging. Basically all classic cheater moves when they are caught. I asked her for all details, with detailed timeline, at night gave me everything. Basically she was using another phone for having an affair. She told me she had sex with him only 4 times and rest of time they were just hanging out and having fun. 3 days later, more crying and talking crap about herself. She told me that she had deleted all contracts with him and do whatever it takes to make our marriage work. She suggested MC. I denied, told her to leave me alone. I was hurt, betrayed, humiliated. She moved out to her parents. She started texting me every hour how much she loves me and how she regrets this, and will do anything to save our marriage. After completely ignoring her for 2 days, I texted her that we are getting divorced. She freaked out and started having emotions breakdown. My phone started blowing up with her parents, sister, friends telling me not to end marriage and at least give her a chance. Later that day she made a long post on FB explaining how she fucked up and how she has destroyed her marriage, basically admitting her affair publicly. But I was rock solid on my decision. She even insisted to have a lie detector test to clear my doubts, that she never cheated in the past. Blah blah blah. I asked her for some time alone to process all this. We have been living separate since. This was all 4 months ago. Last week I asked her for divorce and she started crying, begging for another chance. After that she visited my parents and asked them to convince me not to divorce. Last night my parents and her parents tried to convince me to work things out. And after she made her FB post almost all of our mutual friends were telling me how she was brave to admit her affair and that she loves me and I should at least give her a chance. I'm on an edge of having a breakdown. She is truly remorseful and regrets this, I can assure you this. I do love her and her cheating on me hurts the most. I don't know what to do. Anyone who has reconciled, how are things going on? Small update. First of thanks to each and every one of you, the amount of support I got in last 15 hours was unbelievable. I'm sorry I couldn't reply to your comments, and PM I'm trying to answer some common questions. We don't have kids, we were planning to have kids after this pandemic was over. We both own a business and, we work together. I haven't talked to her in almost 3 months, only business related stuff. Here's the update. After reading all your comment and PMs I decided, talk to my parents. I called them, and told them that I was going for divorce. After an hour later she called me crying, not to end it. And told me to at least meet her in person, since the day I haven't seen her or talked about affair. Every time I talked I ignored the talk about affair. She told me she'll explain everything, at least hear her side of story, and after hearing it whatever decision I'll take she'll respect that. Since I don't know what was going on and don't have much information about the affair, it will be like closure to me. So I've decided to meet her on Sunday. That's it, nothing dramatic. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Her posting on Facebook was pretty manipulative. Commenter 2. Your friends and family won't be the ones who get cheated on the next time. If they like her so much they can have her. Commenter 3. If you would have never hired a PI this would have gone on indefinitely. She's only upset she got caught. Ignore everyone else. You're the only one who is going to have to live with a cheater for the rest of your life if you accept her back. It's not like she came clean anyways, this will probably happen again as soon as all the drama dies down from it. Stay the course, get divorced and find someone who doesn't cheat on you. Best of luck to you buddy. It just blows, no way around it. Update. As decided we both met on Sunday. She was quite miserable. I haven't seen her in a while. We talked about our relationship. I asked her to take down her FB post which she did. I asked her about the affair. Why she cheated on me. She told me that she was dumb and selfish at that time. She didn't blame me for affair. She told me that they were casually talking and he started talking about his affairs. She showed me text messages of them both, where he was bragging about his fun life outside of marriage. She told me she was curious and one thing led to another. There were several texts where he was guiding my wife how to hide affair. He suggested her to buy another phone and always keep in car. I took screenshots of everything thing. She then asked her for forgiveness. I forgave her but I couldn't get past this. Divorce was my default option from beginning. She begged to try marriage counseling. She told me she will never date anyone else ever again. If she does it would be me. I don't really care. We will still work together. As this was our both dream project. As for our mutual friend. Last I heard was his wife and he decided to reconcile. As kids were involved. I really feel sad for his wife, she didn't know what kind of monster he is. We are getting divorced. I've decided not to be in a relationship ever again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Hahaha, this post made me laugh. So why did you have the affair? Well, we were talking, and the subject of affairs came up, and it just sounded like something I wanted to try. I hope you burst out laughing when she said that. Commenter 2. She told me she will never date anyone else ever again. If she does it would be me. What kind of emotionally manipulative BS is this? She's trying to guilt trip you and she's lying. Commenter 3. She acts sorry but ultimately you only found out about this because you hired a PI. She had no intention of confessing to you. I'm glad you're not giving her a second chance. Go find someone that can give you respect. Stories number 18. Am I wrong for feeling blindsided after my F25 fiancé's M28 siblings suddenly decided to get married right before us? My fiancé, M28, and I, F25, met 4 years ago and have been together for 2.5 years. From the beginning of our relationship, we always said that if things went well, we would eventually get married. He has 4 siblings, and he's the youngest. Louis, M36, married. Hugh, M34, 4-year relationship. Vanessa, F32, 2-year relationship. Dave, M28, my fiancé. Vanessa and Hugh had always made it clear that they didn't want to get married. However, in August 2024, when we had been together for 2 years, his family asked us again if we were planning to get married. We told them yes, that it was already in our plans. This was before he proposed, and that by 2025 we would at least have started planning the wedding. About 2 months later, Vanessa's boyfriend proposed to her, but they kept it a secret for a month. When they finally told everyone, they insisted they had no plans for a wedding. They said they'd just go to the courthouse, sign the papers, and that was it. No celebration, no big expenses, nothing. Then, in December, Dave proposed to me. At that point, Vanessa was still saying she didn't want a wedding, just a small meal at a restaurant after signing at the courthouse. Since both siblings were now engaged, Hugh reiterated that he had no intention of getting married, saying he and his girlfriend already had a family and didn't see the need. By mid-January 2025, just 2 weeks after Dave proposed, we had already planned almost everything: venue, guest list, budget, and date. At the end of January, we officially announced that we would be getting married at the end of November, and everyone seemed happy for us. Then, 2 weeks later, in mid-February, Vanessa suddenly announced at a family gathering, "Oh, we have everything planned for our wedding now. We're getting married 2 weeks before OP and Dave." I thought it was weird, considering she had always been against having a wedding and had originally planned something small for 2026. My fiancé told me not to think too much about it, saying it was probably just a coincidence. However, 2 days ago, Hugh called Dave asking for his official ID because he had decided to get married in October. He wanted Dave to be one of his witnesses. This completely caught us off guard because Hugh had never even proposed to his girlfriend. Then, yesterday, Dave's mom called him, clearly upset, saying she didn't agree with what Hugh and his girlfriend were doing because it seemed like they were trying to steal the spotlight from Vanessa, who was supposed to be the first to get married. That really threw me off because, as far as I knew, our wedding was the only one actually planned. But Dave's mom had been helping Vanessa organize everything, and now she was worried about her daughter losing the spotlight. It made me wonder, was this whole thing an attempt by her and Vanessa to overshadow our wedding? Dave says he doesn't care if this is some kind of competition. His family has always been like this, and just because they're trying to get a reaction from him doesn't mean he's going to play their game. I just needed to vent, but any advice? Update. Thank you for all the comments and the time you took to respond to my post. As many of you suggested, I've decided to move on from this. I won't engage in whatever game they're playing and will simply focus on enjoying my wedding. That being said, our wedding date will remain the same. Changing it would be incredibly difficult and costly since weddings require extensive planning. Besides, we already sent out our save the date last Sunday. Our wedding will take place in my city, meaning that anyone from my fiancé's city, his family, will need to travel to attend. Some of my relatives have already purchased their plane tickets since our wedding falls on the same weekend as a local festivity. On the other hand, my fiancé's siblings are getting married in his city, so technically, their guests won't have to spend much to attend all 3 weddings. And now to the actual update. Yesterday, there was a family gathering at my MIL's house. I assumed we were all expecting Hugh to officially announce his wedding, but for some reason, he didn't. Not sure what he and his girlfriend are waiting for. However, during the gathering, MIL kept asking about our wedding plans multiple times. I responded kindly but avoided sharing too many details. Vanessa, on the other hand, seemed visibly upset that her mother was paying attention to us. Throughout the evening, she made several childish and unnecessary passive-aggressive comments, which we simply chose to ignore. Later that night, my fiancé and I talked about it and came to the conclusion that Vanessa might just be annoyed that her mom is focusing on someone other than her. She was always the golden child growing up and had all the attention on her, so she's probably uncomfortable seeing me receive even a little of it. The next family gathering is at the end of March for my birthday. Let's see how that goes. Stories number 19. Am I the jerk for refusing to celebrate my brother's girlfriend's birthday after my brother and her forgot mine? I always go out of my way to celebrate other people's birthdays, but when it comes to mine, nobody does anything. My birthday is December 30th, so it always gets overshadowed by Christmas and New Year's. This has been the case since I was a kid. I'm 27 now, and I can count maybe 2 birthdays in my life that felt special. This year, I had to work for 4 days straight on my birthday. I work in the yachting industry, so I couldn't get out of it. Hardly anyone even wished me a happy birthday. my brother forgot, my friends forgot, my brother's sister forgot, despite me getting her a really nice gift for her birthday. When I finally saw them again, nobody even thought to acknowledge it. No late happy birthday, no small gift, not even an apology. It was like my birthday didn't exist. To make it worse, not even my coworkers, who I spent my actual birthday with, did anything. In the yachting industry, we do extravagant things all the time, so any small effort would have been nice. I wasn't expecting a party, but a simple gesture would have meant a lot. Now, my brother's girlfriend is coming to visit, and suddenly my brother and my mom are planning something really nice for her birthday. Seeing them put in effort for her when they did nothing for me stings. So, I told them I wasn't going to participate in the celebration because I didn't feel like pretending everything was fine. Now, they're acting like I'm being petty and immature. Stories number 20. Tesla drivers hogging the chargers in my building. No more free charging for you, hugs and kisses. So I live in a wonderful mixed-use building, and it's been great. Lovely amenities and decent tenants and even free electric car charging. This was simple and easy for the last 2 years, and out of nowhere more and more Tesla people moved in, bringing their Swaysta cars with them. And it's like, oh okay, it's like 20 EVs sharing 4 chargers, no biggie, cause most tenants respect the building's 4-hour limit rule, which should bother no rational person that understands not everything is about them. However, Tesla drivers are a different breed, and a few of them think that those rules don't apply to them, whether it's because they have a bigger car or they have kids or whatever excuse they have for hogging the chargers day and night whenever they can. Yeah, they have bigger batteries and need longer charging, but 4-hour limit is 4-hour limit. It wouldn't be fair if someone in an on-site laundromat hogged all the washers and dryers all day long, would it? Who gives a shit their reasons for hogging the chargers? But wait, this gets interesting. So recently the guest level parking charger stopped working. Something wrong, nobody can get it to work. Now we're down to the one downstairs and that's it. Remember, each charger has 2 points, so it's now 2 charging cables for over 20 EVs, and some malicious Tesla drivers among them. I decided to leave a note one night on the charger itself because of said malicious Tesla driver decided to charge both their cars the entire afternoon into the evening, taking up all the chargers, which others of need to use to get to our jobs and whatnot. It simply said the 4-hour limit applies to everyone. However, the next morning I went to charge and found the note ripped up with a portion left with a reply written, "Say it to my face." And since then it's just been a race to the chargers before 4 p.m. to avoid the greedy Teslas who come and take them the whole afternoon and night. Sometimes they win, sometimes the rest of us do. More recently someone else left a note as well addressing their behavior saying, "Please consider other drivers need to use these too," and the reply left on it was, "I saw you on my cameras, LMAO, I won't consider shit." So I took this up to the top. I took that note, and the photos of my ripped up note, and sent them not only to the property manager, but to the regional manager for the property management company itself, who have many more buildings throughout the country. They got back to me and I informed them that not only was this charger not working and this hogging was happening, which was of mild concern, but then I decided to use my nuclear option and told them that their EV chargers hadn't been charging anyone any money. This really got their attention, and I find out that they are about to replace these chargers entirely with new updated ChargePoint chargers that will start charging tenants money after 4 hours. Even it's the customary $3 to $4 per hour, this will add up for the Teslas hogging the chargers all day and overnight. Now you might be thinking this will affect me too, but my partner and I are dinks first of all, but also, my EV doesn't take long, it's tiny. I only need at most like 3.5 hours to charge to full usually. Basically, unless I'm an inconsiderate asshole, I won't get charged ever. TLDR, Tesla drivers being Tesla drivers at my apartment. I get apartment to start charging money for the previously free EV charging, Tesla drivers hogging the chargers in my building. No more free charging for you, hugs and kisses. So I live in a wonderful mixed-use building, and it's been great. Lovely amenities and decent tenants and even free electric car charging. This was simple and easy for the last 2 years, and out of nowhere more and more Tesla people moved in, bringing their Swaysta cars with them. And it's like, oh okay, it's like 20 EVs sharing 4 chargers, no biggie, cause most tenants respect the building's 4-hour limit rule, which should bother no rational person that understands not everything is about them. However, Tesla drivers are a different breed, and a few of them think that those rules don't apply to them, whether it's because they have a bigger car or they have kids or whatever excuse they have for hogging the chargers day and night whenever they can. Yeah, they have bigger batteries and need longer charging, but 4-hour limit is 4-hour limit. It wouldn't be fair if someone in an on-site laundromat hogged all the washers and dryers all day long, would it? Who gives a shit their reasons for hogging the chargers? But wait, this gets interesting. So recently the guest level parking charger stopped working. Something wrong, nobody can get it to work. Now we're down to the one downstairs and that's it. Remember, each charger has 2 points, so it's now 2 charging cables for over 20 EVs, and some malicious Tesla drivers among them. I decide to leave a note one night on the charger itself because of said malicious Tesla driver decided to charge both their cars the entire afternoon into the evening, taking up all the chargers, which others have need to use to get to our jobs and whatnot. It simply said the 4-hour limit applies to everyone. However, the next morning I went to charge and found the note ripped up with a portion left with a reply written, "Say it to my face." And since then it's just been a race to the chargers before 4 p.m. to avoid the greedy Teslas who come and take them the whole afternoon and night. Sometimes they win, sometimes the rest of us do. More recently, someone else left a note as well addressing their behavior, saying, "Please consider other drivers need to use these too," and the reply left on it was, "I saw you on my cameras, LMAO, I won't consider shit." So I took this up to the top. I took that note, and the photos of my ripped up note, and sent them not only to the property manager, but to the regional manager for the property management company itself, who have many more buildings throughout the country. They got back to me and I informed them that not only was this charger not working and this hogging was happening, which was of mild concern, but then I decided to use my nuclear option and told them that their EV chargers hadn't been charging anyone any money. This really got their attention, and I find out that they are about to replace these chargers entirely with new updated ChargePoint chargers that will start charging tenants money after 4 hours. Even it's the customary $3 to $4 per hour, this will add up for the Teslas hogging the chargers all day and overnight. Now you might be thinking this will affect me too, but my partner and I are dinks first of all, but also, my EV doesn't take long, it's tiny. I only need at most like 3.5 hours to charge to full usually. Basically, unless I'm an inconsiderate asshole, I won't get charged ever. TLDR, Tesla drivers being Tesla drivers at my apartment, I get apartment to start charging money for the previously free EV charging. Stories number 21. AITA for telling my sister and BIL it's their fault their son doesn't speak to them. I, 53F, have a sister, 55F, I'll call her Caroline. She has been married for 30 years to her husband, Richard, 58M. When they married in the 90s, they planned to have children. However, nature had other plans for them, and my BL couldn't have children. The doctors confirmed the impossibility, and this devastated them. After weighing their options, they chose to go through infertility treatments with donor sperm. I also must note that my sister is a controlling person, and my BL thinks he knows everything. Fast forward a few years, and my sister and BIL had 2 sons through this process, both of whom have different donators. And as science grown with DNA, I advised my sister to tell the children when they were young of how they came to be and just be honest with them. I was met with harsh backlash, telling me to mind my own business and that under no circumstance are her sons to find out. I would continually bring it up on occasion until one nasty fight where my BL told me I was an uneducated idiot who knew nothing about this subject. Then I gave up and never spoke to them about it again. Last year, Caroline's older son decided to take a 23andMe test and discovered that my BIL is not his biological father. This caused a massive uproar in my sister's family. My nephew told them he always knew something was wrong and wanted to find the truth. After months of back and forth fighting about my sister and BIL's betrayal of trust, per my nephew, he has now cut contact with his parents. I'm connect with him